Hello there, everyone. If you're watching this video, then you are part of the TTOR Army, an army that is building itself up one subscriber at a time. As you can see from the title and thumbnail of today's video, today we're going to be doing something I haven't done in a good while. We're going to be discussing an old Earth creationist who did something pretty crazy on Twitter recently in their conversation with me. They actually implied that God does not speak to us through the Bible. And that might sound crazy to you, especially when you hear that it's an old Earth creationist saying it, but just watch this video all the way through, and I think you'll understand why I titled the video the way I did. But let's get into it. So to start off, we have this post by someone on Twitter, which you can see on screen, someone named Martin Awoother, also known as King of Salt 4. Their bio, they identify themselves as a Protestant, Jesus is my God, and I also identify themselves as a Theistic Evolutionist. This person's tweet that I responded to appeared in my feed. They said, "So I guess I can't be a Lutheran ever because I accept macroevolution? Because this is like the 6th time I've been told that by someone. Do I just have to be non-denominational even though I agree with pretty much everything Luther teaches?" I said in response to Martin, "Macroevolution is a religious fantasy that cannot be proven true using observational science. You are literally accepting it because a bunch of authority figures told you it's true." Now, as far as my first sentence goes in my response, I say that macroevolution is something that has not been proven true using observational science. Why do I say that? I say that because of this article, archived, of course, from Scientific American, titled Darwin's Influence on Modern Thought. And this was written by Ernst Mayr, one of the most die-hard evolutionists who's ever lived. Someone who said that evolution is such a fact that it will never be disproven, essentially. Well, you scroll down in this article, and you read the following in these 2 paragraphs under the section titled A Secular View of Life. Darwin founded a new branch of life science, evolutionary biology. 4 of his contributions to evolutionary biology are especially important as they held considerable sway beyond that discipline. The first is the non-constancy of species, or the modern conception of evolution itself. The second is the notion of branching evolution, implying the common descent of all species of living things on Earth from a single unique origin. Up until 1859, all evolutionary proposals, such as that of naturalist Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, instead endorsed linear evolution, a teleological march toward greater perfection that had been in vogue since Aristotle's concept of scala naturae, the chain of being. Darwin further noted that evolution must be gradual with no major breaks or discontinuities. Finally, he reasoned that the mechanism of evolution was natural selection. These 4 insights served as the foundation for Darwin's founding of a new branch of the philosophy of science, a philosophy of biology. Despite the passing of a century before this new branch of philosophy fully developed, its eventual form is based on Darwinian concepts. For example, Darwin introduced historicity into science. Evolutionary biology, in contrast with physics and chemistry, is a historical science. The evolutionist attempts to explain events and processes that have already taken place. Laws and experiments are inappropriate techniques for the explication of such events and processes. Instead, one constructs a historical narrative consisting of a tentative reconstruction of the particular scenario that led to the events one is trying to explain. So, I said in response to Martin that macroevolution cannot be proven true using observational science. And this is true, because according to Scientific American and Ernst Mayr, evolutionary biology, which would include macroevolution, is a historical science. And it's actually inappropriate to use observational science to try and prove that a historical science, i.e. evolution, i.e. macroevolution, is true. So it's a diehard evolutionist themselves who says that it's inappropriate to use observational science to try to prove that evolution, or macroevolution in this case, is true because evolution is a historical science, and you can't use observational science to prove a historical science. As for my second sentence in my response, this obviously triggered Martin because he went on to quote tweet me, and he said, "I am literally accepting it because I'm reading books." And then he posts a picture of the books that he apparently is reading. He's reading one book called Cetacean Paleobiology, which is written by a multitude of authors. He has another one called Evolution and Development of Fishes, written by multiple authors. He has one called The Diversity of Fishes, Biology, Evolution, and Ecology, written by someone whose name I can't quite read. And then he's reading The Rise of Fishes by someone named John A. Long, which is the only name I can really read in this whole mess. But anyway, he's reading all these books, and that's why he accepts evolution, because he is reading these books that promote evolution and provide evidence for its truthfulness. So I said in response to Martin, authority figures speak through books, articles, blogs, videos, and all kinds of media. It's all a form of them telling you. And this is true. Whenever you are someone and you're writing a book, you're writing an article or a blog post, or you're making a video communicating the kind of information that this person is reading, such as evolution being true, well, you're speaking to people. You are speaking to people with the intent of at least convincing them, or at least trying to convince them that evolution is true, and you're making arguments as to why and providing evidence. It's a form of telling. This is something that is so obviously true that frankly I don't know why anyone would ever question it. But apparently Martin did, because his response to my post was to say, "That's a nice tinfoil hat you have there," implying that I'm a conspiracy theorist for saying that authority figures speak to us through books, articles, blogs, videos, and all kinds of media that they create for us to consume. Somehow that's a conspiracy theory. So I said in response to his tinfoil hat comment, no, it's the truth. Authority figures don't just speak to us in classrooms, conferences, and to our faces. They speak to us through all the media I previously mentioned. If you deny that, you're the one living a delusion. And this prompted Martin to say, okay, yeah, sure, and you listen to authority figures too, but I'm the sheep here, right? Get out of here. So I said in response to Martin, you identify yourself as a Christian, so surely you believe that God speaks to us through the Bible, right? If God can speak to us through a book, then how is it a conspiracy theory to suggest that authority figures can speak to us through books to tell us evolution is true? And this is where you can begin to see why I titled my video the way that I did. Because if Martin is right, and it is an outlandish conspiracy theory to suggest that authority figures can speak to us through books to tell us that evolution is true, if that's an unfounded conspiracy theory, well then, why should we believe that God speaks to us through the Bible? Logically, if one is true, then the other is true. If one is false, then the other is false. So if it's not true that evolutionist authority figures are speaking to us through books to tell us that evolution is true, then we must logically conclude that God does not speak to us through the Bible to testify of his truthfulness and the things he wants to tell us. If Martin is right and I'm just a kooky conspiracy theorist for suggesting that authority figures are telling us that evolution is true through the books they put out, well then, obviously, God is not speaking to us through the Bible. But then again, Martin's lack of respect for what God says on origins and his uber respect for what man says about origins, i.e. evolution over billions of years, that doesn't surprise me at all, because older creationists and theistic evolutionists like Martin, well, to them, science is a higher authority on origins than the Bible. And to prove it, I'd like to quote Perry Marshall from his 2015 book, Evolution 2.0. Perry Marshall is a theistic evolutionist like Martin here, and on page 327 of his book, Perry Marshall wrote, Modern science speaks much more definitively about the age of the Earth than the Bible does, so it is perfectly legitimate to allow science to settle this question. In other words, according to theistic evolutionists like Perry Marshall, like Martin ultimately, because this is what's in his heart, even if he doesn't verbalize it, science, i.e. the majority opinion of the scientific and academic community, is a higher authority on origins than the Bible is. So when the issue of origins is brought up, we must defer to what the majority opinion of the scientific and academic community is on origins, and the Bible, well, must be reinterpreted or disregarded. It's always a sad day when people who claim to love Jesus and follow God then turn around and imply through their logic that God doesn't actually speak to us through the Bible. It's always sad when this kind of day occurs, and it's the first time that it's occurred on my watch on the internet, and so that's my primary reason to document what I did in this video, and hopefully you guys got something out of this, whether it be entertainment or education on how old Earth creationists and theistic evolutionists argue against young Earth creationists like myself on the internet. It's very enlightening and important stuff indeed, and hopefully you got some kind of benefit from this. Now, if you're a fan of my content, but you are not a fan of all the censorship that YouTube and other big tech sites are doing, well then, there are lots of YouTube alternatives that you could be going to instead of YouTube. But there's two in particular that if you're a fan of my content, you really should tune into and subscribe to me on and watch my content there instead of YouTube in the long run. The first one, of course, is Rumble, which you can see right here on the screen. Rumble is a video sharing site that is owned by Donald Trump's media company, which in a way makes Rumble Donald Trump's YouTube alternative. Millions upon millions of people use the site. There's already channels with millions of subs on here. And this is a great and happening place for anyone that discusses more serious, important content like Christian apologetics or current events, politics, etc. And the gaming community and other genres are growing here too. So Rumble is a place where I back up all of my videos, but I also live stream my shows, whether it be the God TV radio live stream or the TTOR show. All my live shows I do here on Rumble live. And Rumble also has great freedom of speech compared to YouTube. There are certain topics on YouTube that if you talk about them, your channel or your videos or both will get taken down. But on Rumble, you can talk about those topics freely and nothing happens to your channel. So Rumble has real freedom of speech compared to YouTube. And because of that and the live shows being on Rumble when they're live and the fact that some of my videos on Rumble get more views than their YouTube counterparts, well then you should subscribe to me on Rumble and check out my videos here and share my Rumble videos as far and wide as you can. The other site you should subscribe to me on is Quarter, which is an open source alt-tech alternative to YouTube that I started back in May of 2022. It is a great site in terms of features and functionality. You got 4K video upload capacity as well as all general HD upload capacity. You got live streaming, you got free restreaming, you have public playlists, easy to use comment moderation system. But you also have features that you don't have on YouTube, such as the ability to post articles instead of posts to your channel. And in these articles, it's basically just a blog feature, so you can embed videos from not just Quarter, but from really any website on the internet as long as the embedding is based on HTML code. Also, you can upload pictures instead of videos to your channel. You can upload audio files instead of videos to your channel. You can create video chat rooms where you do basic video call stuff, but you can also live stream to your channel from these chat rooms. And then there's Quarter Bucks, an insight currency that you can use to promote your whole channel or individual videos on the front page of the site. Quarter has a lot to offer in terms of features and functionality, but the freedom of speech is what is most important about Quarter. I'm a free speech advocate. I'm the one who founded Quarter. I'm the one that runs Quarter. So real freedom of speech is honored on Quarter, especially since we're hosted in the United States where the First Amendment applies. And so as long as you're not promoting terrorism, as long as you're not posting pornographic material to Quarter, you can say and talk about really anything you want, even if it's things I hate as far as ideologies go. So if you are a fan of real freedom of speech and you want to use a video site that is run by a fellow content creator who is a free speech absolutist, well then you should subscribe to my channel on Quarter, create your own Quarter account, and start posting your content to Quarter if you're a content creator. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.